Our special guest this program is a young lady that has made a tremendous splash in the last few years in the Christian music scene. Her name is Kim Boyce. And Kim, it's good to have you on the program.
Thanks, Brian. Good to be here.
You have a unique history that not many people have. You were voted, I guess, or whatever, crowned Miss Florida back in 1983, and then one of the top 10 finalists in Miss America. Not many ladies have had that kind of thing, you know, happen to them. Tell us what that was like for you being a Christian.
It was a great experience overall. It really was, and it certainly trained me in a lot of ways to do what I'm doing now. I was on the road about 300 days out of that 365-day period, and so I learned a lot of PR techniques and things like that I'm having to use now, how to live on the road, things like that. So it was really good experience for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And as a Christian, it was no problem at all. A lot of the girls in the pageants were Christian girls because the Miss America system being sort of like the girl next door type pageant that attracts the Christian girls, and plus a lot of us have had an opportunity through the years in church to practice our talent, and talent's 50% of the pageant, so that helps too.
Yeah. Now, coming out of that, you kind of went into the Christian music scene and got involved in that. Tell us about the beginnings and bring us up to now.
Well, let's see. I gave up my title as Miss Florida. My year ended in June of 1984. And after that, I spent about 6 or 7 months down in Florida trying to figure out exactly what to do, because I knew God had called me to do Christian music, but I just didn't quite know how I would get into it. And through a series of events, I ended up moving to Nashville. I had gotten together with a man who has since been my manager for these last 3 years, and he's really been a blessing in my life. And I moved to Nashville, did a demo tape of 3 songs, and he took that tape around to a bunch of different record companies, and most of them said, no, forget this girl. She was a beauty queen. She's a has-been. Just get her out of here. But one record company really believed in me, and that was Word, and particularly the Myrrh label, who I'm signed with now. And I signed with them the very last of 1985 and spent most of 86 in the studio working on the album, writing and then having it produced and things like that. And then I went out for the first time in the fall of 86 with Greg Voles on a tour, and I've been touring consistently ever since then.
Obviously, you like it. I mean, I asked you earlier, and you said you were gone, like, I said, how many days out of the month are you gone? You said 30,
yeah.
So you must enjoy ministering to young people.
I really do.
That's great. We're going to look at a song that's on your latest album, and it's called Love Resurrection. Excellent song. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that as we look at it?
This song is sort of my tribute, I guess I should say, to say, listen, Christians, let's get together and show the world that we are Christians by our love and have a love resurrection.
What can I do to bring light to this dull, dull day? What switch can I pull to illuminate my way? Show me one direction. I will not question again. No, no. For your warm protection is all I need to calm the pain.
back with Kim Boyce, and Kim, we're talking this month on the program about parent-teen relationships. What kind of home life did you have growing up as a teenager?
I was very blessed to be born into a Christian family. I think my family, as long as I can even remember generations back, has always been Christians. And so because of that, I think I had a very minimally turbulent teenage years. And that's not to say that I don't think that I learned some things. We had trouble in our home, just like any other family would. And my mom used to threaten to just wash my mouth out with soap every other day because I had such a smart aleck mouth, you know, and those kind of things. But it's since I've been away from home that I've really learned how good I had it at home. And then as I'm out ministering to young people who have very bad home situations, I've learned so much about those places that kids can end up, that the Lord has really placed a real burden on my heart for home situations. And then, you know, I even talked to some young parents who are having trouble with their kids, you know, as the reverse of this, and they just, you know, say, what in the world am I going to do? And all I can say is that the thing that I know more than anything else that I found out in my life and that I've seen happen in other people's lives is that Jesus is the only hope. He's our only answer, and we have to turn our lives over to Him and just believe in faith that He's going to be able to handle whatever type of a problem we may find ourselves in our lifetime.
Growing up in a Christian home, was there ever a time in your life where you just thought, you know, I'm going to kind of spread my wings a little bit and kind of do my own thing here? I don't know if my parents' faith is really my faith. Did you ever have a rebellious time?
Yeah, I did, and I really came to a point just a few years ago where I had to find out if this stuff was going to work. I had been in the family forever and ever, and when I moved away from home, I just had to say, okay, is this really going to work or is it not? And I had already moved to Nashville to do Christian music, and all of a sudden I found myself in a little tiny apartment crying, laying in the floor going, God, what in the world am I doing here? Where are you when I need you? But I have found out that Jesus can be that friend that sticks closer than a brother. And I think that it took me getting actually away from home to have to find out that, yeah, this faith is going to work. And my encouragement to kids who are in a bad home situation is don't wait till you have to leave. Don't try to run away to get away from it. Make that faith happen for you right there where you are.
Yeah. I think the biggest struggle with teenagers and parents is that they get in a situation where the parents ask them a certain thing, you know, to be home by this time or to do this or do that. And the teenager, and I remember this, you think you know a better time or a better idea.
That's right.
Did you ever have a thing that you can
yeah.
remember like that with your parents? And how would we deal with that as teenagers?
Well, my big problem was we went to school about 15 miles away from home, and my sisters and I would pile in the car. I was the oldest, so I was driving, and it was always my responsibility to get everybody home on time. Well, we didn't always make it, and then we'd be in big trouble, but Dad would say, Kim, just call me. That's all. I'm just worried about where you are. If you'll just call and say you're going to be late, you'll be fine. And I think it's just a matter of understanding a lot of times that parents aren't out there just to get us. They're concerned about our safety and our well-being, and that's why they impose these things on us that we think we know better, when really they've been there before, and I think that's why they get a little scared sometimes for us.
Yeah. Do you ever, in your concerts, come across kids that maybe come from broken homes? I can relate to you. I come from a good family, and man, my parents were just great and got along as a family, but sometimes it's hard for me to relate to someone who comes from a busted home. What do you tell kids like that when you meet them and they share that problem in their life?
I think now, being out on my own and single, I have experienced more of the loneliness that somebody in a broken home must feel than I did ever at home. But I've counseled with a girl now for 3 years who came from a terrible, terrible home situation. And I've watched what the Lord has done in her life, and I've seen the heartache and the bitterness and the anger that was left in her heart from a terrible home situation, even after being a Christian for a couple of years now. And I just see what that can do to somebody, and really the miracle that it takes for someone to come out of a situation like that and to be a whole, well person can only come from the Lord. I know that, and I've watched this girl struggle, and I've watched her grow in spite of everything in the world being against her. And so I know it works for her and it can work for all of us.